What do you get when you give a group of guys with average acting skills a recycled James Bond script and a large budget for gasoline fireballs? You get the Explodables. I mean, the Expendables. The 2010 comedy action flick written and directed by Sylvester Stallone. I surprised him with that. Okay, with character names like Hail Caesar and Toll Road, you know that this is not a movie that you should be taking seriously. All right? But we'll give him a chance to recover.
You're not even giving me a chance, man. We have this wonderful thing called editing. I can always cut out the long stretches of
no.
nothing.
We're leaving that one in. It's not very often that I get to destroy them quite like that.
Welcome back to Pork Chops, Rice, and Peaches. I'm Noah.
And I'm Richard.
And if you couldn't tell, we're talking about the Expendables today.
How did we get onto the Expendables? This is I don't remember.
So a couple weeks ago, I would say about a week ago, I was sitting and I was flipping through Amazon and I was looking for something mindless to watch because I wanted to watch some mindless action, and I saw that all three of the Expendables were free for Amazon Prime users.
Right.
So I said, what the hell? Let's watch the Expendables.
Oh,
and then
right.
I watched it, and then I texted you, hey, all three Expendables movies are on Amazon Prime for free. And then you were like, oh, awesome. And then you went and watched them all and said, hey, we need to talk about these. So I had to watch the last two
to get caught up
this weekend while dealing with the two dogs.
Okay.
So I've been watching pieces of Expendables 2 and 3 in between dodging dog play that's been shifting across the entirety of my 20-foot wide apartment. And
so the Expendables was not a movie that I was ever interested in seeing when it came into theater. And if I think about it, we go back to 2010 when this came out. You know, you were 16, your brother's, 8, 10 years old. Your sister's pretty young. We're right in the thick of parenting. And your mom and I just didn't go to the movies a lot. And she would never have gone to see this movie with me.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, it's not something she's interested in.
This is what I remember all the boys, in like my age, were talking about. Because it was the Expendables. It was pretty much tailor-made for that audience of like 14 to 28-year-olds who just want mindless action in the movie theater.
Well, so, you know, you go back. This movie is filmed, Stallone is 63 years old.
Yeah, geez.
If you look at the way he runs in this movie,
if you weren't going to say it, I was going to. He is just...
And it looks like it's killing him every step of the way.
It looks like a horse with a broken leg.
Yes, it does.
It looks like a Statham misery bullet is needed.
So we've got 63-year-old Sly Stallone. We've got Jason Statham, Jet Li, Dolph Lundgren, Randy Couture, Steve Austin, Mickey Rourke, Terry Crews, and a couple of actual actors, Eric Roberts, David Zayas, and with Giselle Atia as the eye candy / paper-thin motivation for action.
Literally, no other purpose for existing.
You know,
than to just be motivation.
Well, and now, to her credit, I did a little bit of just research into her career, and it looks like she's got a pretty decent acting career going, and I think she might have done a Spanish language version of Ugly Betty. That's what it looked like. And actually, when she's put in that, geek, it takes her natural beauty and just makes her look very average and plain. But her acting seems to be decent. And, so I don't want to rip on her for that. But the role itself.
The role itself is just is exact. Because the movie is nothing but an homage to the action movies of yore. and
Yes.
and the what used to be the big box office type of action movie, which has now been regulated to these direct to video, direct to DVD, direct to streaming services now. Like, let's be real. Did anyone go watch any of Jason Statham's movies in theaters?
Well, I'm sure some people
I'm
did
sure
because
some
he was
people
allowed
did.
to keep making them.
Yes, but where did we all watch The Transporter? On Netflix,
Oh,
on
yeah,
Amazon,
most definitely.
Hulu, all these streaming services. So this is where these guys are making their
But
bread and butter,
what-
is with these type of low budget, high intensity action, barely any story.
Yes.
The
It's-
plot is held together by tape and spit.
Right.
And
We're going to move here, and we're going to fight. And, then
then
we're going to move here, and we're
gonna
going to fight.
And then we're going to move here, and we're going to
gonna-
switch it up by fighting on a moving car.
Right.
And then we're going to move here,
And fight on a train.
and then we're going to move here and fight with guns.
Yes. Yes. Although, hey, the gun fu is really good.
The gun
okay,
action in these movies is a lot of fun.
the mixture between martial arts fighting and then, when convenient, pull out a gun and shoot someone
Yep.
is fantastic.
Yep.
Um,
Now, you can't have this many, I'm going to say it, egos on screen. Okay.
Interesting,
Without
yeah.
giving them, and this is not necessarily a dig. These guys have made considerable careers out of their on-screen performances as these muscle-bound
Yes.
action heroes. I mean, you literally have Stallone and Schwarzenegger, probably the kings of 80s action movies, and they are rivals.
Yes.
And
They've been rivals for decades.
They've been rivals for decades, both in the story and in real life. And it's more, I think I'm more impressed than anything that they all managed to work together on a movie like this, and that they were all able to, the amount of jokes made at each one of them's expense, it really makes you think, hey, these guys maybe aren't as like,
Oh, I'm sure that these
got
these
us.
guys have prodigious egos. However, the something that's established early on, which makes this Expendables a lot of fun, is that it's a fourth wall breaking movie.
Oh, absolutely.
It is tongue in cheek. The whole thing is extremely funny and well done. And I made the observation to you about She-Hulk, that if you're going to break the fourth wall, you have to do it as well as
Ferris
Bueller's Day Off, as the best fourth wall breaking comedies, and where She-Hulk didn't.
For those of you who never sat through and never realized it, probably my generation, Ferris Bueller has the fourth wall break at the end credits. If you sat through Deadpool's end credits and you wondered why he was in a bathrobe talking to you, he was referencing Ferris Bueller's Day Off. You uncultured swine. Okay?
Ferris Bueller kind of set the standard for fourth wall breaks.
Yeah, when he did that, Why Are You Still Here? Go Home. It was great, and him talking to the audience.
If I remember,
he talks to the audience a few times.
Throughout the movie.
But that was the best part, I think.
So they do this through just references to their own careers. They trade taglines throughout these movies. They make references. Probably the best one that entertained me most early on was when Schwarzenegger is in the church with Stallone and Bruce Willis as Mr. Church, right?
Yep.
And Stallone turns down the job, or not Stallone, I'm sorry, Schwarzenegger turns down the job, and as he walks out the door, Church says, "What's his problem?" And Stallone says he wants to be president.
Yeah.
Well, in 2010, when this was filmed, Schwarzenegger was still governor of California. He could not have done any more filming.
Yeah.
And there was huge talk in the country. He wanted to be president, but he was constitutionally unable to serve as president, right? And so you get lines like that are fantastic. Now, the thing that I particularly enjoyed about this movie, is that in the most of the 80s, I was in the Navy.
Yes.
And so when I was on the sub, we had movies direct from Hollywood. And we had top run movies on the boat.
Yeah.
And every night at 8 o'clock, they showed a movie. Now, when I was in the galley cooking, I would be listening to the dialogue of these movies. And every once in a while, I could pop my head out and catch some of the action.
Yeah.
But I have seen some of these 80s movies over and over and over again.
Yeah,
and so,
it's the MWR situation.
Yeah.
You know, they send you this stuff. We were having those in Kuwait. I think we got Spider-Man.
okay, yeah,
in
so
Kuwait.
they're
still doing
they're still
it,
doing
yeah.
that, and so, but all of these action flicks.
Yeah.
This was just like a trip down memory lane for me, and so things that I really enjoyed in this movie. I love the exploding bullets that literally ripped people's heads off, that cut human beings in half, and the graphics are so
cheap. These are Mega Shark versus Crocosaurus levels of blood CGI.
And you see the top half of the body just shoot across the set. Although probably a great sequence was Jet Li snapping the Brit's neck while Statham holds him in place. That was an axe kick to the neck that was just wicked brutal. And you see two martial artists with great skill and really creative choreography working together, and that's really fun.
Yeah.
Okay. Things that I noticed, because I've been hanging out with you too long not to really get into to these things. Statham as Lee Christmas throws a knife into a bad guy, gets him right in the throat, disarms another soldier, reaches out before the guy falls down, grabs the knife out of his throat and stabs someone else behind him. I'm like, okay, this is just great over the top action.
This was them going with a stunt coordinator and saying, this is what we want to do, so just tell your guys where to stand so that we can beat the crap out of them. Hence why Jet Li has his own stunt team that goes on every project with him. If you look at the credits of all of these movies, there is Jet Li's stunt team in the credits, and it's an entire team of people for Jet Li to work with. Just him. Jackie Chan has his own stunt team. Donnie Yen probably has a crew that he is used to working with.
Well, that's probably a smart way of getting the shots you want and having nobody get hurt.
Getting the action that you want and doing it with the people you want. So it just shows to show you how much they, what's the word? Not sacrifice, but
they invest in their success.
They were really just like, okay, we know what we need to do to make this movie happen.
Right.
I bet you Stallone took a pay cut. I bet you Schwarzenegger took a pay cut to get some of these people in.
They had to
get some of these people in.
Dolph
Lundgren came back for a shot. That was all Stallone going, hey, bud, you want to come back and shoot a movie?
Well,
Let's be real. What has Dolph Lundgren done besides go on and work his way up through the scientific field to master degrees and doctorates in several scientific fields? The dude's a genius. He has several university degrees.
Does he really?
Yeah. That's why in the second movie, they talk about him going to college and then dropping out. They were all making rep. That was another fourth wall break.
I did not know that.
Dolph Lundgren's career in academic study.
Dolph graduated from the Royal Institute of Technology in Stockholm and completed his master's degree in chemical engineering on an exchange program with the University of Sydney in Australia. Graduating at the head of his class, Dolph was then awarded the Fulbright Scholarship to the prestigious Massachusetts Institute of Technology in Boston, one of the world's top engineering schools.
I had no idea.
A genius, and they have him playing the dumbest character.
His character is a burned out pothead, right?
Great, so fantastic.
So, Jet Li, one of my favorite fight sequences, and just because I'm impressed that people can kick like this, is kicking someone in the face from behind, where that leg comes straight up and over the shoulder and kicks someone. The Randy Couture, Stone Cold Steve Austin WWE fight was great. Now, so the animated burning flames were horrible.
So bad.
As Terry Crews running away from the falling building that was clearly a film on a screen behind him. Right. Okay. Things like that were really bad. But I have to say, middle of that fight sequence, Hail Caesar looking at Stallone and saying, "What happened to you?" And Stallone says, "I got my ass kicked." When have you ever seen that in an action movie before?
And that's what made it so good, is that like what made it so that you could tell these guys were willing to have fun with this.
Yes.
Because you have so many, how many action stars are in their movies, and there's a monologue by a third party who's usually CIA, FBI, or a police chief, who's like, he's the deadliest trained killer on the planet. He served in every single special forces division in the entire world. He is a gentle giant, but will snipe you from 500 yards away with no tailwind. You know, and it's like, all they're doing is just stroking him. I'm sorry.
Well, that went in a different direction than what I thought it was going.
You know this TV, the
Yeah.
I'm gonna have to put one in this.
All right,
so you know how they have that little monologue about how great the guy is.
Yes.
Okay. Yeah. Usually you get that in like every single movie. You know.
Yes.
You got it in John Wick, where he's like, that was John Wick's dog.
Oh yeah, that's not what you did; it's who you did it to.
It's who you did it to.
He's the man we send to kill the boogeyman.
Exactly. You get that speech. So to have these action stars look at each other and be like, "Yeah, I got my ass beat," is a great change of pace, and so reflective of the fact that this movie is not taking itself seriously at all. At all.
Interesting. Every time I have seen that clip from John Wick where the dad is talking to his son, I think to myself, there is absolutely no way I could write off one of my children like that.
Yeah.
It would be, I couldn't give John Wick enough to not to not do that. Just a little side note there. Yeah. So my biggest disappointment, all right, in transitioning into Expendables 2, is that Steve Austin's character didn't return all burned up, ready to get revenge, because that's exactly what I thought was going to happen, right?
But you know what was great? Because here's the thing. My biggest disappointment if we're moving into Expendables 2 is the fact that we didn't get a Statham versus Van Damme kickoff. Man,
yes.
I would have killed for a Van Damme Jason Statham kickoff, because Van Damme was throwing kicks in that movie. Throws the same kick twice.
Van Damme is in great shape.
He is in fantastic shape.
Yes.
But it was made up for with a Scott Adkins versus Jason Statham fight scene.
Yes, it was.
Where Jason Statham drop kicks him into
a helicopter blade.
And reverse clotheslines. I can't, because that's the sort of wreck that I love doing.
Okay.
If you've ever seen, there was another one that was in, I don't remember which movie it was in, but they're like on a box, and then they do a low kick, and then the dude is on the edge of the box, and his feet get kicked out from underneath him, and then he smacks the box and falls back.
Right.
I love that. Is one of my favorite types of stunts to do.
Okay.
And I have been dying to do one in any project. Just dying.
So you know that.
Fantastic.
That Expendables was a good, a successful movie when they give them a larger budget for gasoline fireballs in Expendables 2, and they use it, and they use it.
Improve the CGI budget a bit.
Oh, okay.
A bit.
And then so there were some really cool things in that, like taking down a helicopter with a motorcycle. A little far fetched, but it was just cool. It was a cool concept. It's straight 80s, right? All right. Jet Li demonstrating that he has a black belt in frying pan. Yep. That's a great scene in the movie. Makes me think I need to reuse my cast iron, because it was really fun watching that. Right.
Fun fact, because I was watching these with the wife, and the wife's looking up all these things. Donnie Yen and Jackie Chan both turned down being in Expendables 2. I don't remember why Donnie Yen did, but Jackie Chan did, because they wanted him to be a villain.
Oh,
okay. I don't think Jackie Chan likes playing bad guys. I don't think he likes playing bad guys.
Okay.
So maybe we'll get him in a future
In a future
It
one?
Maybe. I know, by the way, Expendables 4 is coming. And
September 23rd, September 22nd,
We're gonna
2023.
go watch
We might
this.
have to go to the movie and do a...
Because Tony Jaa is going to be in it.
Yes.
And I'm so excited for that. Anyway, sorry.
So, well, so the fourth wall breaks continue, which is
Yes.
really a tremendous amount of fun. Chuck Norris makes his appearance, and you've got to absolutely love... Chuck Norris, this is the only thing that we talked about in advance.
Yeah.
Was the conversation when he comes in where Stallone's Barney Ross looks at him and says, "I heard you got bit by a king cobra," and the response is,
Yes, I did. And after 5 days of agonizing pain, the cobra died.
Yeah, so
You just have Chuck Norris make a Chuck Norris
joke. Yeah.
In the middle of...
In the middle of the movie, it is absolutely fantastic. All right.
Just
Wesley Snipes being
Yep.
rescued.
Yep.
And then he's asked, "What were you in for?" And he says, "Tax evasion."
Evasion.
I
So
had to pause the movie at that point. I was laughing so hard.
And it's his delivery because it's Wesley Snipes.
I know.
And he just does the tax evasion.
So
He has this way. I wouldn't say it's good acting. It's just a Wesley Snipes way of acting. That's just fantastic. It reminded me of Demolition Man.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Just
Oh, yeah.
because of how, just...
Well, and it's one of the things, speaking of Demolition Man, something that we did talk about and cover early on, so you can find it down that way in all of the different links. It's fun seeing all these actors that have worked together in the past, come back and just, mix it up again. There was a scene on top of the train in the when they were rescuing Snipes, and this is right in the beginning of the movie, where the good guys string a steel cable across the tracks, right? And so all the bad guys are on top of the train, and the train goes under the cable. Now,
on top of the train?
According to movie number 1 with exploding bodies and exploding bullets, these people should have been cut in half or decapitated.
Yep.
And that's what I was expecting to see.
That's exactly what I was expecting.
And then all of a sudden they bounce off the cable and fall to the ground, and I'm like, oh, come on, guys. You already established exploding bodies in the first movie. Apparently, they were trying to get a PG-13 rating where the first one was an R because they wanted to expand to a larger audience.
Makes sense.
In an interview, Stallone said it was a mistake.
Yeah.
And because they went back to the hard R rating for Expendables 3.
Yeah.
Right. I was really surprised. So Harrison Ford shows up as drummer.
Oh, yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
I'm thinking to myself,
how
did they get
Harrison
Ford to do this movie? And what happened to Bruce Willis? Apparently, Bruce Willis demanded a pay increase right before filming, like $1 million pay increase, and they decided no. So Barney asked drummer where's Church, and drummer looks at him and says, he's out of the picture. You just gotta love that fourth wall break, okay? That is just...
Oh, and it's like, here's the thing, and Harrison Ford is notoriously just a jerk. And it's like, now here's the thing, if you were someone who is genuinely a talented actor, and you're probably constantly hounded by Star Wars fans who, let's admit, are some of the most obnoxious people in the world.
Present company accepted?
No, included.
Okay.
Included. I know who I am.
Okay.
All right. We're obnoxious. I would probably get tired of being hounded by them too, especially over a role that you didn't really enjoy playing and you really are only taking for the paychecks because, the man's not above. The man's obviously not above taking a paycheck. He will take a paycheck.
Right.
And he'll do a job that he may not like to get a paycheck.
Right.
It's very Michael Caine of him, almost.
Michael Caine
appreciates every single job he gets. But... it is just a joy to see Harrison Ford play a pilot, CIA, handler, and then don a flight suit and go, and it's like, oh wow. And then you start to wonder, well, if Harrison Ford could come in for one of these, who else is on the table at this point?
Well, and in that second, first of all, man, Mel Gibson. There's another one.
Man!
Not only is
Mel
it
Gibson is the best. It was a good performance.
it was
too.
a good performance. Yeah.
He actually was like, you know what? I'll do something with this. He put in a good show.
And there's a man who needs, because of all the different controversies.
Oh, yeah.
I mean,
he
let's
needs
face
a
it.
job. Yeah.
You know, you call a police officer sugar bleep. You know, you've got some problems, and you know. But he came and he did that. Robert Davey, it was good to see him.
Yeah.
Kelsey Grammer was fun to watch in that movie. I mean, they really pulled in some talented
Mickey
actors.
Rourke in the first one was fun to watch.
I really wanted to see Mickey Rourke come back.
I really wanted to see him come back as well. But, like, you know, in the first one, Mickey Rourke was a fun presence that I was not expecting.
Yes, he was.
You know, and I really don't know him from anything besides Iron Man 2, but he was really good for what he was given in Iron Man 2. There's a couple things. I know I've seen him in other stuff, but that's the only thing I really know him from. Give me that look.
Well, I always think of him, there was a movie, I think it was called Body Heat. It was Kathleen Turner and William Hurt. William Hurt's the American, John Hurt's the Brit. William Hurt and a young Mickey Rourke who plays an ex-con.
Okay.
And I remember him.
Did he have as many tattoos back then as he does now?
No, he didn't.
Okay.
He was on the rise, and I think that was before he started getting himself in trouble, and because I think he did some time in the hokey, and then he had his boxing career, and apparently he's a decent boxer.
Yeah, that's good.
Antonio Banderas steals every scene.
Oh my gosh! And that was the other one that I was like,
yeah,
what? You just got, and he is completely making a fool of himself.
Well, he's not only doing that, but I mean, he is all in. That man is 100% into this character.
And if Expendables 4 happens,
is he going to be there?
I would love to have him back. I'd take him over Ronda Rousey. I'll be honest.
Okay, so
she did a halfway decent job, but like.
Give her a hat tip.
Yeah,
she was no worse than an early Schwarzenegger who could barely speak English but did Conan movies.
You're right.
Right?
I think that just made the Conan movie better, though.
Well, so the only problem with Ronda Rousey that I saw in her performance was her in the dress walking towards the bad guys with the exaggerated, strut. And otherwise, she did a fine job.
Did a decent job. Who are these other guys, though?
They're completely forgettable.
No idea who they were. I knew who Liam Hemsworth was.
Right.
In 2 when he gets the coolest death.
It is it's a pretty good one.
Van Damme has a guy hold out a knife and then he roundhouse kicks
him. Right. Okay. Now.
That's a dope death.
Okay.
That's dope.
The death scene in Expendables 2 was supposed to be Mickey Rourke's character. And they couldn't get Mickey Rourke back, and so they hired Hemsworth, and they set that whole thing up, and they did a good job of setting up his importance to the team.
Yep.
Giving you just enough to care about him. Yep. Right. Without
give him the he met a girl backstory. I'm trying to buy what looks like a 20-year-old Liam Hemsworth as a former Army Ranger.
Yeah, I'm not buying any of that.
He's
far too young.
Way too young.
All that backstory about all the guys who died, and he was far too pretty.
Here's the thing. I have met Navy SEALs.
Yep.
They are good-looking guys, and a lot of them are still fairly young.
Right.
But that's the thing. They're still in. I had them come through the hospital in Kuwait. They were still serving.
Right.
They were coming back.
Right.
There's no way for this kid to be, unless he was medically discharged,
right,
to be out of the SEALs, have a nice beard going, and then is now working for a mercenary company.
And he looks like he's 20.
Exactly.
Right. And So now the interesting thing,
you would probably be 20 by the time you got out of Ranger School, by the time you got out of RASP and Airborne,
and all that
or
other
SEALs
stuff,
or whatever he went through.
Yep. You made a comment just a little bit ago, probably about an hour ago, the first time we were talking about this movie at all, and you were talking about this just being a consume the content.
It's very much a consume.
Okay.
If
However,
we ever get T-shirts, that's the first T-shirt I'm making.
Is consume the content.
Subscribe if you want consume the content T-shirts.
Oh yeah, that would be a good first merch, right? There's a sleeper to this. And that is this movie, Expendables, asks the question, can you save the soul of a person who has killed so much, even if they're considered righteous killing, even if it's the just war theory? There comes a point where killing becomes too easy, and you don't even think about it. Can you save the soul of someone who has done that? And the Expendables asks that question because the only reason he goes back to that made-up island is to rescue the girl. Right? And he even says that at the end of the movie. I didn't come back for you. He says it to Eric Roberts' character. He says, I didn't come back for you. I came back for the girl. That's why I said this is a recycled James Bond script. Because that is the vintage, the James Bond move is go back and save the girl. And so can you save their souls? And it's interesting that with everything that's going on in the movie, with the homage to all the 80s and 90s action flicks and all the inside jokes and everything that's going on, it still asks a question that's probably an important question. All right, but you can't. It doesn't make this like a serious movie or one to even spend a lot of time thinking about.
The plot is as bare as this shelf.
Exactly. Yes, it is.
You think we didn't notice? No, I'm self-aware.
Expendables 2 doesn't ask that question.
Nope.
And Expendables 3, while it's fun, and I kind of watched it more out of obligation because we watched 1 and 2, my very first thought with Expendables 3 was, oh, they're trying to act in this movie. They're trying to make this a serious concept. I love my team so much, I'm not going to work with them anymore because I can't handle it if they die.
No, that was just an excuse to get some fresh faces and not pay the old guys as much.
I just almost like they were going to turn over the franchise. Right? Now,
no, you're not.
Well,
not to these guys.
Actually, the franchise is being turned over. And I read a quote from Stallone. He talked about putting this movie in Jason's capable hands. So,
sense.
Stallone's kind of backing down and Statham is carrying Expendables 4.
And you get in Expendables 3, you get that because they get Snipes, who is an original member of the Expendables. And then you run into Gibson,
Stonebreaker, right? Yeah,
whatever. And he was an original member of the Expendables, so you do have a generational thing going.
Yes,
but Stallone is getting a little too. He can't really.
He's in his 70s now. Yeah,
he can't really do these. I mean, kudos to all these guys for doing all the work they did.
Yes.
Kudos for staying in shape and being able to run and being
Stallone's,
no matter how bad it is,
in pretty good shape. Those arms are something to,
Even in Tulsa King, it looks like he's still in halfway decent shape.
Haven't seen it, but
I've seen the trailers for it.
So, if you are my age and you grew up watching these things in theater in the 80s and in the 90s, if you haven't seen the Expendables, watch them. They are just a tremendous amount of fun. This is just sit down and have fun. This falls into the category of if you've got nothing to do on a Saturday afternoon and this pops up on TV, watch it. Just sit down and watch it and have some fun.
This is a movie to watch on a Saturday when you're bored.
Yep, exactly.
I have to put it in that playlist.
Well,
alongside Shawshank Redemption and Thomas Crown Affair. Are
well,
we putting it there?
No. Let's just say this: if you've got a choice between Thomas Crown and Shawshank in the Expendables, I'm going with Thomas Crown or Shawshank.
But if the Expendables is on TV and nothing else,
I very definitely would watch it. I mean, these are just fun movies. These are the consume the content movies. But see, for you, consume the content is fun. For me, consume the content is torture. It just is. I can't shut it down and just sit back and absorb it all. But so this movie is better than consume the content for me because for me, it was like I picked up on the whole question of can you save the soul of someone who's murdered too much? You know,
and I saw that as like the bare minimum plot thread that they just needed to tie it all. It's like you have this massive holiday ham sort of situation and you've got it rolled up and the only thing holding it together is this one itty-bitty little string. We're still in Christmas time. It's okay.
All right, The Expendables 1, 2, and 3. Very definitely a movie that you should watch.
And we're
or a set
probably
of
going to
movies.
go watch Expendables 4 when it comes out next year.
Oh, we are very definitely
Or
going to
this
go.
year by the time this episode goes up. Let's be
Yeah,
real.
this is going to go
We
up
have
after
about
the
a
first
week
of the
left
year,
in
right?
2022.
So, in
Ring
about
in the new year by ringing that bell down below and then hitting the subscribe button next to it.
and let us know is
See what I did?
Yeah, I saw. I saw that. That was very well done. Let us know if you want Consume the Content t-shirts.
Yes. Join us at the table. Join us in the discussion in the comments below. Thank you so much for watching. Happy New Year.
Happy New Year.
Bye.